Can you guys hear anything?
Hi. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Steve Rosenfield's stand-up comedy workshop. Thank you guys so much for watching. What you're going to see tonight is a company of stand-up comedians who have trained together in a workshop conducted by award-winning comedy director, author of the book Mastering Stand-Up, and founder of the American Comedy Institute, Steve Rosenfield. Some of the alumni of this workshop have gone on to perform on The Tonight Show, The Late Show, Conan O'Brien, Gotham Comedy Live, Saturday Night Live, Comedy Central, and they perform in the best clubs all over the United States and all over the world. So, very excited for the show tonight, especially because through the power of Zoom, we have had students from all over the country that are going to be performing for you tonight. We are truly nationwide, and we're very excited for this show. Very little rules. Usually in a club, I'd say keep table talk to a minimum, 2-drink minimum. I'll still say 2-drink minimum, but relax. We hope you're safe in your home, and we hope you have a wonderful time. So I will be your host tonight. My name's Michaela. I live in New York, or I did. I lived in I think I still live in New York, but right now I'm in a 55 and over community in South Florida. So that's where I'm currently living, but I'm not alone. I'm with a couple wonderful people. Ladies and gentlemen, they've been married for 26 beautiful years. They've watched all 8 seasons of Dexter twice, and they don't believe in global warming. It's Mike and Tina Fagan. They're in the other room. I'm in their bathroom currently. It's the quietest room in the house. So living in a 55 and over is a little strange because I do fall asleep every night knowing that I'm the only fertile woman within at least a mile. So if this becomes a situation where we need to like repopulate the earth, there's gonna be a line of old men knocking down our door. So looking forward to that day. It'll be fun. The pandemic has been really evident though in this community in that no one's lives have changed at all. Like I'm just waking up every day with all these people, like having a heart-healthy breakfast, taking a walk around the man-made lake, taking a blurry cell phone picture of an egret, coming home, lunch, dinner, Jeopardy, then you fall asleep and do it all over again. So that's been fun. I'm getting all of the monotony of geriatric living without any of the rich life experiences on which to reminisce. So forced into early retirement, but having an okay time, having a pretty okay time. I've been watching a real lot of daytime television. That's been how I've been keeping myself busy. I'm loving Toddlers and Tiaras. TLC is on a 24-hour news cycle. That's what it feels like. But I like to fantasize about, what if I had been a toddler in Tiara? What would my introduction have been? Because there is some lady standing on the stage at whatever Wyndham Ballroom this is taking place at, introducing each of these girls. And I like to think my intro would have gone something like, and now, coming to the stage, we have little Miss Michaela Fagan. She's got brown hair, brown eyes, and a golden heart. Her two favorite things to do are rip worms in half and eat craft singles straight from their individual plastic packaging. Her record is 23 in a row. Wow, Michaela, that's a lot of cheese. She loves her parents, her cats, and maybe Jesus, but she's skeptical. Her favorite smells are gasoline and pork. And when she grows up, she'd like to be a Radio City Rocket. Good luck with that, sweetheart. You look a little short and stout, if you ask me. Or rich. This is little Miss Michaela. And I'd walk out like, I like to think I would have won at least one pageant. I've also been watching a lot of Ghost Adventures. Is anyone else into the paranormal television shows? So fun, except they're so mean to the ghosts. Why are they so mean? I understand there has to be some degree of provocation, but like, I feel like you could ask a simple question like, what is your name? But they're literally walking into a haunted house like, scratch me, hit me in the face, suck my dick. And so far a ghost has not yet sucked his dick, but I'm gonna keep watching to find out. I think that would be exciting. So I, in college, was a lesbian. And I still am, because I'm not a quitter. I don't quit. I follow through on what I do. I really should have known a long time ago that I was gay though, because growing up, I did think often about becoming a nun. I thought I was just a very pious Catholic girl, but I don't know, I just thought, wait, you're telling me I could live with hundreds of women in a castle? That sounds fantastic. I feel like I'd get really good at jumping rope, hopscotch. They seem to do a lot of playground activities. And we'd probably make soap, and that just sounded like a fun life to me. I'm still in, honestly. I might still become a nun. I'm really lucky though, I'm not the only queer person in my family. I have an Aunt Loretta who's been married for like, I don't know, 45 years to this woman who's fantastic. And I turned to them for advice, except they came out in a vastly different time than me. So their advice is not good at all. Like, I'm wondering how long I should wait until I like text this girl that I met on TikTok. And they're like, okay, McKay, here's what you do. I got this. First, marry a man. Okay, I know it sounds weird, but marry a man, wait 10 to 12 years, okay? Then at your weekly all-girls poker game, go up to your friend Debbie, kiss her clumsily but passionately on the side of the mouth, wait 10 to 12 more years, that's crucial, another 10 to 12. Then at a communion, Debbie's invited, go up to Debbie, kiss her full on the mouth, tell her you die for her, and live together happily ever after in secrecy. Tell no one. Does that help? Like, no, not at all. But thank you guys so much for your advice. I love you. Thank you guys so much. My name's Michaela. I'll be with you all night, but I'm incredibly excited to bring your first comedian to the stage, all the way from Texas. She is so funny and a wonderful friend. Please give it up for the very funny Holly Van Stratton.
Thank you so much, Michaela. Yes, my name's Holly Van Stratton, And I am quite nervous because my new boyfriend is watching, and I just know that he's out there. So if you think that's you, can you please call me after the show? All right, so I'm trying to make a little bit of extra money during this COVID thing. So tonight, as well, along with performing this comedy show, I'm babysitting. So, but I have to make it quick. The alcohol is gonna wear off soon. Not mine, but for the 6-year-old. My parents got married when they were 17, and I came along 5 months later. So when I started introducing, I'm not Holly Lynn Van Stratton. I would tell my new friends, my name is Holly Backseat Van Stratton. My mom overheard me, and she said, if you tell that story one more time, I'm going to tell you what really happened during that miracle minute in the Chevy. My brother, he married his high school sweetheart, and they've been married for 25 years and have given my parents 2 beautiful children who they dote on and they spoil. But I'm not jealous, because I'll always be mom and dad's first fuck trophy. I was born with a crooked eye. A few years ago, I was at a bar and I saw a hot guy, and I walked up to him and I said, would you like to dance? And he looked over his right shoulder at the guy behind him where my eye was looking. And I grabbed his arm and I said, no, I'm talking to you. We danced. We got married 4 months later. That was a fucking disaster. But I did learn something. Always trust my crooked eye. Recently, over at a boyfriend's house, I found him in the bathroom, blow drying the tub. Come to find out, he has a problem with anything moist. Finally, somebody that can appreciate menopause. So I was walking down the street last week, and this young, hot guy calls me a MILF. And I walk up to him and I said, how dare you? You don't know me. I don't have kids. I'm not a mother. Did you mean menopausal I like to fuck? So I was skydiving. I've been 3 times, and my friends are like, wow, isn't it scary? And I'm like, hell yeah, it's scary. But where else am I gonna go to be able to strap a guy to my ass for 7 minutes for only $120? I took my parents to St. Martin on vacation. My mom wanted to go to a beach, a nude beach. So off my mom and dad go for a walk. When we got home, my mom's bragging about how great of a vacation she had. And I pulled her aside and I said, Mom, I love that you had a great vacation, but can you please stop telling people your favorite part was your long walk on Dong Beach? I was flying recently and was in the airport lounge waiting for the flight to board, and this hot guy catches my eye. He gets up and walks by, and I noticed that he's got 2 prosthetic legs. We keep, making eye contact. He finally comes over and he asks me out, and he goes, but before you answer, I have to tell you I have 2 fake legs. Is that a problem for you? And I said, oh, absolutely not. I've been having sex with a fake penis for years. So if I would have known or seen this pandemic COVID coming, I would have saved the $7,500 getting Invisalign for this perfect smile. Smile with your eyes, they say. Well, shit, I should have used the $7,500 and got fucking corrective eye surgery. So because of COVID, I had to move from New York to Texas, and I'm living with a friend, and her daughter found out that her fiance was cheating. So what she did was she was going to go over. She grabs a knife, a huge knife, and her mom says, you can't leave the house with that. Give that to me. And she sharpens it and gives it back to her daughter and said, go make your mama proud. So a couple minutes later, my friend thinks, and she calls her daughter and says, you need to come home. She came home and she said, don't ruin your life over a man. You're getting your master's degree in December. You give that knife to your sister, let her do it. She only owns a gym. So being in self-quarantine for four months, I haven't worn any earrings. I'm afraid that's now the only hole that's going to grow over. So months ago, it could have been years at this point, that I had sex, and I was having sex, and I had this Charlie horse, that pain in your leg, and it was so excruciating painful. I just kept shaking my leg so hard that it was so sore, I started to moan. And I shook it so hard that I almost knocked him and me both off of the bed. Well, after, he says, "Wow, that was good, but never seen those moves before. Do you think we could do it again right now?" And I'm thinking, can I fake a Charlie horse? So please remember, I'd like to thank you. I hope you enjoyed the show, to call me if you are the guy. Love you, Holly Van Stratton. Thank you.
That was Holly Van Stratton, and that was her very real phone number. So yeah, go ahead and call her, guys. Thank you, Holly. That was fantastic. Your next performer coming to the screen is making his stand-up comedy debut. All the way from Kansas City, Kansas, please give it up for the very funny Trevor Martin.
All right. You may recognize me. If you've been required to watch a corporate sexual harassment training video, I played Stan, the sexually harassing coworker, and I've booked that twice. Nailed it! I may be the Daniel Day-Lewis of sexual harassment videos. I've also been in movies. As an actor, you need to know your type. Based upon my casting, I think I've discovered my type. Racist. Racist with no lines. My look can be described as a cross between Doogie Howser, MD, and Hitler Youth. I am married. It's pretty clear that I'm married up, which of course means that my wife lowered her standards, and that bothers me. It bothers me to be married to an underachiever. There are 330 million people living in the United States. Our options for president are Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Really? Donald Trump will be 74 if reelected. Joe Biden will be 78, okay? Context. My parents and my wife's parents are all in their 70s, okay? They've changed. They've gotten grumpy. Things that didn't seem to bother them in the past do now, like birthday cards arriving a day late or immigrants. And they're getting bold, but in weird ways. My dad refused to pay for a beer at the restaurant. He said, "Hey, take this back. I'm not paying $8 for this." After he drank it, my mother-in-law farts mid-stride when she walks now and looks at me like I did it. It's fine. It's my parents. It's my in-laws. It's not like they're trying to run the country. Biden versus Trump. Really? Now, I know Trump called himself a stable genius, but he also called Mars a moon and recently accused Joe Biden of being against Windows, the glass kind. Trump has 5 kids with 3 different women. You'd think he'd wear a condom. I don't think he knows how. It took him 5 months to figure out how to put on a mask. Now, Biden seems like a man who's seen a lot. He's been through a lot, and he's touched a lot of women inappropriately. Just to be clear, Social Security came up with the phrase retirement age, not me. There's not a maximum age, but there is a minimum age to be president. The founding fathers had the wisdom to know that a person should be off their parents' family phone plan for 10 years before being able to run the country. They just assumed no one in their right mind would want this job after the age when a late dinner starts at 5 p.m. If he's reelected, Trump will be the oldest person ever elected, older than Reagan. In fact, Trump is so old that if he leaves the White House in 4 years, he'll be as old as Joe Biden is now. If Biden doesn't win, I'm sure there'll be a lot of people still following him because he'll be driving 15 under the speed limit. When we started asking ourselves if it was time to put Biden in a home, I don't think we were meeting in the White House. Now, this may seem a little harsh, but I'm just asking you, if God forbid you had to go in for brain surgery and the surgeon looked like Trump, you're not pausing to give a second opinion? If you were getting on a flight and the pilot looked like Biden, are you telling me you wouldn't walk back to the flight attendant and say, excuse me, I need to get off. I think this is my stop. Guys, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the night.
Awesome job. That was Trevor Martin's stand-up comedy debut. Your next comedian coming to the screen is a wonderful friend and a very, very funny comic all the way from New York City. Please give it up for Isa O'Neill.
Thank you. This is the first presidential election I'm old enough to vote in. And frankly, I don't know who I can choose. You have Trump, and he's drained the swamp. He's brought manufacturing back to the US, and he's made America great again. And Joe Biden is incredibly charismatic. Whenever he speaks, he really gets my blood pumping. He really gets my generation. The man's a political rock star. I felt he was peering into my soul when he said, "We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women are created by, you know the thing." I think people my age are really excited by that. I think he's going to bring this country back together. I think he's even going to win the South. In his Super Tuesday victory speech, he confused his wife with his sister. And I think that really resonated with Southern evangelicals. He's a great speaker. On ABC, I was pleased to see him announce his new campaign slogan, "Make America return to the essence of who we are, the dignity of the country, the dignity of people, treating our people with dignity, end this god-awful deliberate division that is being taken in order, separating people." And while the slogan is obviously great, it does raise one concern. How are you going to fit that on a hat? I'm taking a serious look at the Legal Marijuana Now party. I support their strong pro-labor stance. They also have the bravery to go in public with their opposition to famine, racism, poverty, and all threats to civil liberty. My only hesitancy is I strongly oppose legalizing marijuana. I'm trying to get a paid job. I sent out hundreds of applications. I got one response back from a company called I5 Marketing. They wanted to talk to me about my offer. I don't remember sending the application. I don't know what my offer is. I don't know what I5 Marketing is. I don't know what marketing is. I took the interview. The interviewer asks me, "What are you hoping to get out of this job?" And I say, well, it's the opportunity to work well in a team setting and contribute to the core values of I5 Marketing. She said, "Your application interested us. Do you have any experience in the project you propose doing for us?" And I said, "Well, it depends." And she says, "Depends on what?" And I said, "Well, it depends on what you mean. It depends on what you mean by experience. It depends what you mean by project. It depends by what you mean by doing. It depends what?" And she cut me off. And she said, "Mr. O'Neill, we only have 15 minutes for this interview. Now, in your cover letter, you mentioned using economies of scale to better serve our larger clients. Do you plan to expand on that idea?" And I said, "Well, I would love to." And she said, "Well, And I said, oh, you mean right now? Well, I5 marketing has scale, doesn't it? And she said, of course. And I said, well, we can economize on it. And she said, Mr. O'Neill, what are you talking about? And I said, what am I talking about? What am I talking about? Well, let me tell you what I'm talking about. I'm talking about cutting costs. I'm talking about the bottom line. I'm talking about cutting administrative costs, IT costs, infrastructure costs, catering costs, daycare costs, electricity costs, heating costs, cooling costs, fixed costs, accounting costs, recruiting costs, payroll costs, medical insurance costs, retirement pension costs, rent, miscellaneous costs, marketing costs. I didn't get the position. You have been an above average audience. Thank you.
Isa O'Neill. You'll get the next one, Isa. I have faith in you. Excellent interviewing skills. Okay, your next comedian coming to the screen, making their stand-up comedy. Nope, just kidding. He's not making a stand-up comedy debut. He's a wonderful stand-up comic, and he's all the way from North Hollywood. A really, really funny guy. Please give it up for Max Ziegfeld.
Oh, unmute myself. How are you? I'm Max Ziegfeld. You like this outfit? This is what you get when Liberace screws the Six Flags guy. Everyone asks why I'm wearing a sequin jacket. I got too fat for my sequin dress. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm a big faggot. It's okay. I can say faggot. I'm allowed. I haven't called a faggot since kindergarten. Why are you running around like that, faggot? I'm late for school, Mom. Our president, Donald J. Trump, said that if we had less COVID testing, we would have less COVID cases. That's ridiculous. That's like Mike Pence saying it'd be less gay if I sucked your dick. We might as well outlaw pregnancy tests and lower the birth rate. I have always thought that Black Lives Matter. When I see a black guy on the street, I get on one knee. And if he's cute, I get on both. I like my men. I like my coffee. Coffee makes me gag. All right. I must tell you, this is not my first virus. I came out in the 80s. That's right. The 80s. Back then, sex was dirty, but air was clean. You know, it was nicer in the 80s. We didn't have racist housewives called Karens. We called them cunts. Now, if there was a cage match between AIDS and Corona, I'm here to tell you AIDS would win. I mean, they both can kill you. But AIDS is more fun to catch. Come on. How do you want to die? Inhaling a random sneeze at 7-Eleven? Or getting gangbanged by the village people? YMCA. I have been in quarantine for so long, my hand has a headache. Now, 2020 is rough for everybody. But for me, 2019 was even worse. I got so depressed, I tried to slit my wrists. But I couldn't do it It's the only part of me still looks thin. Look at that wrist. No wrinkles, not a blemish. For God's sakes, I've got the wrist of an underwear model. But I was upset. I was still upset, so I called the suicide hotline. They put me on hold. She says, hang on, I need to get a supervisor. 2 things you don't want to hear when you call the suicide hotline. Hang on. Hang on. And are you still there? She says, are you thinking about killing yourself? I said, no. I called for a hair appointment. She says, if you're thinking about killing yourself, do anything else. Do anything, anything. Have sex with strangers, do drugs, go for a run. Do I look like the kind of guy who would go for a run? I'm telling you, they sent me to a shrink. This guy charges $300 an hour to listen to the same stories I'm telling you. There's really only one big difference. He laughs more. It got so bad, I started eating my feelings. It's terrible. I've eaten so much, I had to change my pronouns to they, them, and we. Now, I look fat. Below the camera, trust me, I look fat. But I identify as thin. I'm translender. Hey, everybody, be safe and wear a mask. No one needs to know what the hell you look like. We don't know what's going to happen with this virus. So in the words of the great Amelia Earhart, I'll see you real soon.
That was Max Ziegfeld. That was awesome. I also practice my stand-up on my therapist, and we have a fun little game where, like, when she calls me, I ask how she's doing, she asks how I'm doing, and then I answer for 45 minutes and just sound like a total ass. That was great, Max. Thanks so much, Max. Your next comic coming to the stage is making his stand-up comedy debut, and he is all the way from Pennsylvania. So please give it up for Mike Escalante.
Thank you so much, Michaela. Thank you. I take my religion seriously, but I understand why people are skeptical of Jesus. The miracles he performed were weird. Combining his saliva with mud to give sight to the blind. Imagine going through that. Jesus, please help me. Sure, I got you. What are you doing? Hold on, my son. Jesus, you know what? I think I'm good. I'm surprised Jesus had any followers. He taught in parables, and sometimes it was impossible to know what he was talking about. According to the Bible, someone asked him what heaven was like, and he said, heaven is like a grain of mustard seed. Lord, I don't like mustard. Does heaven have ketchup? Heaven grows like a mustard seed. Dude, what the heck is he talking about? I don't know. I'm a ketchup guy too. So we should bring our own ketchup packets? You have little faith. If you had faith the size of a mustard seed, you could say to this mountain, move, and it would move. We'll just bring the packets. It's not a big deal. We could just put it in a little sandwich bag. It's fine. I'm short. I know you can't tell because I'm sitting at my desk, but my feet aren't touching the floor. And girls look past a lot of flaws if a guy is tall. Look at Osama bin Laden. The ladies loved him. He had 6 wives. He was 6'5". If he was still around, he would get tons of hits on dating apps. Oh, this guy's 6'5". He says founder of Al-Qaeda. It's probably some big construction company. Happy place, getaway compound in Pakistan. Wow, he has a getaway compound? A fact about me that surprises people. I'm responsible for the deaths of nearly 3,000 innocent people. Well, that's not good. But it says he likes falafel here too. And I love falafel. And he's just so tall. I'll give him a shot. I'm convinced girls look at my profile and makeup flaws because I'm short. This guy's 5'7". Typical Sunday, volunteering at a children's hospital. Children's hospital? Ugh, perv. I have trouble with women who wear crucifix necklaces. I didn't know how Jesus would feel about it. Imagine if somebody told him, hey, Jesus, I have good news and bad news. You're going to be crucified to save us. What? Oh my gosh, that's awful. What's the good news? Oh, that was the good news. I figured you saving us was good. That's the good news? What's the bad news? You're going to spend eternity between women's breasts. Wait a minute, you're confusing me. That's the bad news? I just don't understand you people. You know, the older I get, the more I think we totally take for granted all that our mothers do for us. We should wake up every day and be like, thank you so much, Mom, for squeezing me out of your vagina. How did you get me out of there? That must have been the hardest thing you've ever done. It's like trying to exit a car through the muffler. After all the sacrifices they have made, Mom should not have to put up with their kids' BS. Veggies are yucky. I'm not eating them. Honey, veggies are good for you. No. Sweetheart, I brought you into this world. Do you know what that makes me? I brought you into this world through a hole this big. Do you know what that makes me? That makes me a fucking captain. Eat your veggies or get the fuck off my ship. I don't think men could handle childbirth. If a doctor told a guy, your baby's due October 4th, the guy would be like, ooh, that doesn't work for me. I have a work thing. And his wife would be like, you'll take off. And he'd be like, honey, there's no off days in fantasy football. I can't worry about having a baby and be checking the waiver wire. I know our baby's important, but I have a fantasy team to run. I lead 16 men into battle every Sunday. I don't think you could understand this as a woman, but it takes a toll on me. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great night. Thank you.
That was Mike Escalante's stand-up comedy debut. Awesome job. Your next comic coming to the screen. She is a really, really wonderful woman and so funny. Please give it up for Deborah Cadavra.
You know what I hate? When people keep saying, stay safe, stay safe, stay safe. You know, how much safer can we be with all the masks on our faces? I'm so safe. I'm dry down there. It's been over 4 months. It hasn't been wet. How can it be? Everyone is walking around looking like Muppets. And foreheads are by far the ugliest part of a person's fucking body. If I have to look at another forehead, it's going to dry up, shrivel up, and disappear. I feel like someone's going to take an eraser and erase it. There's just going to be a blank spot there. It won't even exist on me anymore. I mean, like some guys, their foreheads start like all the way back fucking here. It's like the never-ending forehead. Their forehead just goes on. And when a guy shaves his head, forget about it. It's like a forehead with a glare. Am I looking at him or am I looking at a reflection of me in his head? I don't know. But stay safe. Stay safe. Stay safe. What bullshit? Stay safe. Your fucking father should have worn a condom. That's how safe he should have been. Stay safe. And I don't know about you guys. I kind of get it. Everybody is scared. But where the hell is all the Advil? And why are people hoarding oatmeal? And what's it goddamn take to get a bottle of Lysol? And why do I gotta wake up at like 6 a.m, 5 different days to go outside the supermarket to wait in line and face the new supermarket bouncer? I have to wait to see if the supermarket bouncer will approve of me, you know, walking in. This is senior hour. What do you mean? This is for COVID-19 purposes. We open the store early for the more at-risk crowd like the seniors to keep them safe. I'm not in line at a Beyonce concert, okay? It's ShopRite. I just want to get my oatmeal. By the time the supermarket bouncer says I can go in, the seniors cleaned out the whole store. How am I supposed to get my Lysol, my Advil, and my oatmeal? I'll tell you, the next day, I put on a white wig, a muumuu dress. I even got those long compression sock type things, and I walked right up to that supermarket bouncer. And he's like, not buying it, lady. Too high. Your tits are too high. Back of the line. COVID has turned things like cleaning spray, especially Clorox cleaner wipes, into black market items that are hard to find. And if you know where they are, you don't want other people knowing that you know. But you can't leave things to chance, people. Let me tell you, you want to get your Lysol? Go up to the guy at the counter at CVS. That's your hookup right there. Wednesday morning, 6 a.m., you go up to that guy. You say, hey, you got Lysol? You got wipies? You got swabs? Come on, man, hook me up. Yo, no, not on the counter, man. Put it in the bag. Slip it to me. You can't just be waving that around, yo. What is this, your first day? You don't know. You don't know what these seniors will do for a Lysol wipey, yo. It's crazy out here, man. Keep it on the DL, yo. Paper bag. My credit card? No, this is a cash transaction, buddy. Credit card. Psh, I don't want people tracking this. That's right. Here's a little something for you. Same time next week, right? Right. Good. See you then. No, man, that's a gift from me to you. That one could change your life on your next date. It's a coupon for mouthwash, CVS brand. Thank you guys. You've been great.
Deborah Cadavra, giving us those hot tips. Thank you for that. I think we're all going to stay safe. We're going to stay really safe. Your next comedian coming to the screen, a wonderful guy, very funny, performing all the way from Santa Monica, California. Give it up for Tom Susco. Just a few.
There we go.
Nice.
A doctor can figure out how to unmute his microphone. That's amazing. Okay, hello everyone. I'm reading this biography about Albert Einstein, and it's incredible. He discovered time is relative. If you raise up your arm, time speeds up for your arm. If you walk towards the mass of a mountain, time slows down. Makes sense to me because when you walk into the White House, your IQ goes down. When you're in a relationship, You say things you just wouldn't say to other people. My wife dropped a pin and I asked, why did you drop that? And she said, Tom, that is the dumbest question I've ever heard. The next day she dropped a fork and I asked, sweetie, why did you drop that? And she said, why are you asking the same dumb question? For you single people, that, in a nutshell, is marriage. My wife and I are pioneers in the green movement. 25 years ago, we started recycling our arguments. Like this one we have at restaurants. Your foot is hitting me under the table, Tom. Sweetie, it's not hitting you, it's hitting the leg of the table. Tom, why can't you just admit that you're hitting me with your foot? You never admit that you do anything wrong. I said, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? I'm just sitting here tapping the table. So if any of you singles are interested in going green and recycling for life, get married. So my wife has had some health issues and we had to go to the hospital. And as we pulled up to the parking lot, the attendant asked, are you here for cancer? We both thought, that's an odd question. Then he asked, are you parking to visit or to get treated? So my wife asked, where do we park to be cured? And he said, I'm sorry, that lot is full. So I said, I'm feeling chest pains. Is the heart attack lot full? Here are the top 3 things you don't want to hear from your doctor. Long syringe, long needle. This is going to hurt. Don't worry, it's nothing. This is after your doctor spends a half an hour examining you. Huh. I'm 1/4 Jewish and I went to medical school in Germany. It was tough for me because like any male patient I'd see over 60, I couldn't help thinking, is this guy a Nazi? I tried not to let it affect me, but there was a time where like there was this hospitalized patient and I just told him, take some aspirin and get some rest. And his wife said, doctor, I think his pelvis is broken. I've got to remember to take off my hospital badge when I go out and get coffee. I was standing in line and this guy looks at my badge and says, I see you're a joint doctor. I'm a mechanic and I've got pain and stiffness in my hands. Could you take a look? Well, I can't really do that here. Oh, you can't, huh? Well, I'm going to give you a negative Yelp review. Jeez. Even without my hospital badge, people approach me like in a restaurant. Hey, Dr. Tom, I need a refill. I need a refill. Waiter, she needs a refill. My mom was in a nursing home and a guy called and said, I don't know how to tell you this, but your mom has been stealing bacon off other residents' plates. I said to the guy, why don't you just give her an extra big portion of bacon? And he says, we can't do that. There's a doctor's order for a soft diet. So I told the guy, you know, my mom really does love bacon. And the guy said to me, I totally get it. I love bacon too. So I asked him, could you have the doctor write a DNR FBC order? And he's like, what? And I said, yeah, do not resuscitate for bacon choking. And he was like, oh, I'll call the doctor and get an order today. We really did this. Ultimately, she did die from bacon, not from eating it. She was running to get it. Thank you all for being here. Thank you.
Dr. Tom Susco, always on duty, reluctantly. And can I get a refill of this? I want more of this. Thank you. Your next comic coming to the screen is making her stand-up comedy debut. So excited to have her all the way from Toms River, New Jersey. Please welcome Emily Page.
Thanks, Michaela. Hey guys, so my name is Emily. I'm 30, I'm a mom, and I'm happily divorced. I know, it's quite the resume. I feel like I'm entering that Britney Spears era of my life. I just accomplished so much in my 20s. Now that I'm 30, I feel like it's time for me to screw it all up. I have a daughter. She's your typical 18-month-old toddler. You know, she cries when she doesn't get her way. She wakes me up almost every night. But honestly, it's okay, because I know in a few years, none of it will matter, because I'll finally be able to get my revenge. I've been pretty strategic with it. She loves breakfast. So every morning when I go to make her breakfast, she's screaming at me that I'm not going fast enough. So one morning I got an idea. I said to her, Ava, sweetie, do you want to make breakfast? Do you want to make breakfast every morning? Great. See this paper? You're just going to sign right here, right under where it says, I will cook mommy breakfast every morning for the next 18 years. I think she wants me to start dating. She hasn't exactly said it because she can't talk, but she's doing everything she can to keep me in shape. All day I'm chasing her around, so I'm getting in plenty of cardio. And she even eats half my food, so I've lost a ton of weight. She's honestly the best wing woman I've ever had. I was considering dating again. I kept looking for some kind of sign. I even asked God one night. I said, God, please tell me if it's time to put myself back out there again. But then the world shut down. God said no. Ever since quarantine started, I've been thinking about doing a podcast. My idea is that I'll drink wine and give my take on classical literature. My first episode would be Romeo and Juliet. They're not the only ones who wanted to kill themselves by the end of the play. I honestly really can't stand complainers. I feel like there's only 2 times in life where complaining is acceptable. One is when you're paying someone $175 an hour to listen to you complain. And 2 is when I complain. Like, I understand that some people have legit complaints, but most complainers don't have legit complaints. I'll give you an example. Back in 2012, during Hurricane Sandy, people in my home in Jersey lost their homes and it was a complete devastation. My friend called me up and we were having a great conversation, but then I blew it. I asked him, how are you doing? And I knew it was a mistake as soon as those words left my mouth, because the only thing I heard on the other end of the phone was, you won't believe what happened to my hot tub. A tree fell on it. I was just like, John, people lost their homes, John, their homes. I don't want to hear it, Emily. That's not even the worst part. I left my brand new iPad outside and now it's completely destroyed. I don't think I've ever hung up on someone so fast. So I got divorced about a year ago and I'm honestly already over the dating scene. There's a lot of analogies for dating. One of the most famous ones, I'm sure you've heard, there's plenty of fish in the sea. Do you know what else there's plenty of in the sea? Spineless jellyfish and toxic waste. It's really not always that bad. Sometimes I'll meet somebody and they'll be great. And I'll think to myself, wow, maybe they're not all that bad. But then, like some sort of telepathic magic, that guy hears my thoughts and he's like, guess it's time for me to be a dick. I know I probably sound pretty cynical, which I am, but I am still a hopeless romantic at heart. I still think that one day I'll find the one. I imagine we'll meet cute, like in a romantic comedy. I'll be out getting coffee, and while I'm waiting to pay, I'll see some pastries and I'll go reach for one that looks really good. And as I'm reaching, a hand will graze mine. Our eyes will lock. He'll have a shy smile on his face. And then without any hesitation, I'll look him dead in the eye and just say, "Get your hands off my scone, asshole." Thank you.
Emily Page, awesome job, stand-up comedy debut. And that would work on me. Get your hand off my scone, asshole. Wow, you had me. That's beautiful. Your next comic coming to the screen, a very funny performer, and she's coming to us all the way from San Francisco, California. I found her. Please give it up for Bailey Walbord.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So in the beginning of quarantine, my mom and I were at this Walmart supercenter, and it was completely ransacked. And I thought to myself, wow, what a perfect opportunity for marketers to look around the empty shelves to determine what doesn't sell in the event of an apocalypse. So let me give you an example here. We're walking down the aisle and there is a double stacked frozen pizza. And I turn to my mom and I ask her, who would buy this? Like, it's absolutely disgusting when you put it in the oven and heat it up. I mean, your top pizza's crust is going to be all soggy. Should we go ahead and get two? Because there was no other pizza available. And I love pizza. So maybe that's not a great example for marketers. Some other things we did not purchase that day include sugarless cereals. So just a cardboard box with more cardboard in it. Or meat that's not really meat, like bologna. Or bologna with cheese, bologna with pimento, bologna with chives, just bologna. And finally, one of the more mysterious, weird things in the aisles, ultra thin, fat-free Oreos. Because at the end of days, that's what I'm going to be eating. Tonight's a very special evening for myself and my family. They've never been to a comedy show before, so I'm trying to make this as an authentic of an experience as I can, hence renting out the living room as Bailey's Comedy Club. And I told them, this is such a great deal. Like, this is really great. I'm only going to charge you guys $10 at the door. And best part, your drinks, they're on the house. I'm very generous that way. It's summertime. I'm in California and I work currently at a South Carolina venture capital firm, which has been really great. A little bit confusing though, because they'll schedule morning meetings at 9 a.m., which is 6 a.m. for me. But I've figured out my sleeping schedule. And now I have, in order to keep up with what time is it over on the East Coast, I've changed all the clocks to the East Coast time zone. My parents aren't too thrilled about it, but I've told them, look, you should be happy. You're finally on time to stuff. I'm also working at a different company locally in California, a little startup tech firm, which doesn't make the time zones any easier for me to figure out. But in the process of juggling meetings, there's no excuse for being late anymore because you're just home. I've tried. I've said, oh, I'm so sorry I'm late. There was just so much traffic coming up the stairs. And when I got to the kitchen, there was an accident that resulted in a backlog of dishes and just nowhere to put my computer. Outside of work, I've been playing this game that's similar to Dungeons and Dragons with my friends. It's this futuristic cyberpunk game that's set in 2020. It was made in the late 80s. It's all this futuristic rise of technology and AI. And there's devastation and disease in the cities. And I'm like, in the 80s, this was a game. Today in 2020, I'm just trying to figure out, like, what can I write down? What can I keep track of to survive? I'm taking notes. But quarantine hasn't been all bad. There's been some really great things that have come out of it. For example, animal adoptions are at an all-time high, which is absolutely fantastic. That's great. I can't help but worry that, are there going to be people who will take in highways for adoption? Like, I'm really concerned about those freeways. Most of my family lives 3,000 miles away. And quarantine has given us the opportunity to spend time together and connect via Zoom. And it's been really great. I've even taught my grandma how to use Zoom, which has been a challenge for both of us. Let's just say that. I'm like, okay, grandma, we're gonna make Zoom happen now. Okay, you ready? Okay, turn your video on. Turn your video on. The video icon, the video. Wave your mouse. No, don't put the mouse on the screen. Just keep the mouse down. No, now you've muted. That's the microphone button. I can't hear you, grandma. Grandma, is grandpa there? Can he help you? Grandma, no, don't. The video ended. We'll try again tomorrow. Thank you, everyone.
Bailey Wallboard, all the way from Bailey's Comedy Club in San Francisco. Awesome job, Bailey. And good job to Bailey's grandma as well. She's trying. All of our grandmas they're doing the best that they can. Your next comedian coming to the screen is from Washington, D.C. She's a lovely person and a very funny comic. Please welcome Yelena Kulik.
I came from Russia. Growing up in Moscow, I was a shy kid. And I was picked on in school because I wore ugly shoes, the only kind we could afford. Now, when I'm in America, I have a big shoe collection. Thank you, America. Specifically, pay less. It's very hard for some people to get visa from Russia to come here, but that was easy for me. Russia can't afford me. I wanted to come to America because I wanted to have a meaningful life. And so I joined a Russian-American dating service. And when I saw first American man who sent me a picture of himself in a Ferrari sports car, I thought, I don't know if the life of this guy would be meaningful, but it will be fast. He flew all the way to Moscow to meet me, and right off the plane tried to sweep me off my feet by saying in Russian, "You started a fire in my heart." I said to him, "Is that the only Russian you know? Let me teach you something that you can really use while you're with me. My dress size is 2, and my shoe size is 8. He went to meet my parents to get their approval. He said to them, "I'm gonna treat your daughter like a princess. She's gonna live in a big, beautiful home. I'm gonna buy her own Mercedes, and I'm gonna get her own credit card with unlimited funding." And my dad said, "Is that all about money for you?" And he said, "Yes." And my dad said, "Throw in a Mercedes for me, and we got a deal." I am a very warm person. I got it from my dad. He hugged everybody. He was a Joe Biden of Moscow. A Russian bear hug. You maybe heard this expression, Russians are lovers and huggers. We think that everything could be settled peacefully with the big hug. And if there is still a problem, then with radioactive polonium. The way my dad proposed to my mom was to say to her, I want to unlock the deepest secrets of love with you. And exactly 9 months later, I was born. I guess my mother luck had an easy combination. She wanted me to be a boy. She even had a name picked out, Boris. Instead, I showed up. She blamed my dad and called him a wimp for his inability to produce Boris. I say my dad was a hero for getting that close to my mother. He used to read her poetry to get you in the mood for love. It worked twice. My sister and I were born. He wanted a big family, but he only knew 2 poems. After the show, friend me on the Facebook so I can tell you who to vote for. Thank you, everybody. I love you.
Elena Kulik from Washington, D.C. Thanks, Elena. Your next comedian coming to the screen is making his stand-up comedy debut. We are so glad to have him all the way from Hoboken, New Jersey. Please give it up for Steve.
Thank you. This whole quarantine's been tough. Like a lot of people, I've been working from home. My boss told me one of my clients resigned, actually. I'm like, that's great. Did he mention me or anything? He said, yeah, but he was sort of joking. He really liked that lesbian MILF freeway video you sent him. You really have to be careful in this environment, folks. Anyways, my only real interactions with the outside world have been on Zoom calls. The worst, though, is when I dial in a little bit early and just mean that one other person I'm the least closest to, he doesn't want to talk to me. I don't want to talk to him. We're both just counting on the second till a third person dials in. I mean, really, how long could we go on for? Tiger King? Banana bread? The protests? Someone whose cousin may have the antibodies? Wow, so interesting. Excuse me while I go get COVID. Can't do it anymore. My wife and I just had our first child, actually, and it's a girl. I really want to be a great father and think I'll make the perfect girl dad. Like an ex-prosecutor becoming a lawyer or ex-thief working for a security company, I am fully equipped to train her in counter creepy guy intelligence. Yeah, I said creepy guy. I know how the enemy thinks and operates. If I do my job right, she'll be wearing a hand grenade under a prom dress without me even having to remind her. No means boom. Unfortunately, there is a lot of sexual assault stuff in the news these days. Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, Lucy Kay, Bill Cosby. These guys all took advantage of women who want to be successful in their industry. Now we refer them as sexual predators. Things have gotten really complicated with these fancy terms. Years ago, before sexual predators, we just called them priests. Weinstein and Epstein. You used to think that just sounded like a good law firm. Instagram and social media played a large role in making me feel pressure day to day during this quarantine. If I am not outside running or doing burpees in the backyard, the green juice cleanse before 9 a.m., my neighbor's gonna think I'm a fucking slacker. Also, everyone seems to be giving so much advice these days on Instagram. You know what, Derek? I have been waking up before the sun and sitting Indian style and doing handstands with my hair in a fun ponytail, telling myself things like, if I just let go, I'll win the day. I took your advice. I still don't get that promotion. Meanwhile, I still check his stories every morning. Then you have people like my old college roommate who makes these really emotional posts. It's always things like, I dare to remember my little Joey's first steps. But Joey is barely in the picture, and the camera's really focused on his wrist, which shows his new Rolex. You can't see the baby, but you can see the new Peloton bike in the background. What really entertains me, though, on social media are these people who comment on celebrity profiles with millions of comments. I don't understand these people. What? Do they think Jennifer Aniston's going to read their comment and say, you know, it is fucked up I still use plastic straws. My friend Dennis from South Dakota is right. I'm never going back to Starbucks. And if my friend Lori from Iowa thinks my new boyfriend's trouble, that's good enough for me. He's toast. Does everyone know these new credit card machines they have in coffee shops? You know, the ones where you swipe your card and immediately ask, how much do you want to tip? I don't want to tip anything. This fucking iced coffee is already $5. The real question they should be asking is, why are you paying $5 for 10 cents of coffee, 5 cents of ice, and 2 cents of milk? Not to mention the barista. Do I really need to be supporting some college kid whose parents still pay for their Burning Man tickets? Then I feel pressure to tip. There's the whole shame factor. The people behind me, they know I'm not going to tip. The person behind the counter, does he know I'm not going to tip? Is he still going to say, have a nice day when he knows I didn't tip? Anyways, the news cycle has been really strange these days. You know, earlier this week, there was a naked woman doing yoga in Portland, sitting right between the protesters and the cops. The cops actually left after 10 minutes. You know, it made me think Hugh Hefner was really a man ahead of his time. Years ago, he realized all you need is a beautiful naked white woman to spread her legs. Everything's going to be okay. Thank you, everyone. Been great.
That was Steve from Hoboken's stand-up comedy debut. Great job, Steve. Your final comedian tonight, our headliner. She performs in clubs all over New York City. She has a fantastic family. They're also talented. A wonderful lady. Please give it up for the very funny Ina Swinton.
Thank you. I was born in Russia, moved to America when I was 9. I don't have an accent. Fortunately, New Jersey destroys everything. My family used to go to a dacha. That's a Russian summer house. It's like the Hamptons with radiation. I'm a mom. My main job is taking care of our 3 kids. It's a big job. I want to spend all my time with them. So I don't cook, clean, or do laundry. When I was a kid in Russia, I asked my parents where babies came from, and they told me they bought me at a store. I didn't believe them. It was communism. The stores were empty. When we got to America, my friend Vicky told me where babies came from, and she said it took 9 months. And I thought, oh, it takes 9 months? Well, maybe they did get me at a store in Russia. So my mother loves the British royal family. She watched the entire wedding of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry on TV, and she cried. I said, Mom, why are you crying? Because you will never be a duchess. Meghan prepared a dinner of roast chicken for Harry to get him to propose. When was the last time you roasted a chicken? I wanted to roast a chicken for my husband for our anniversary, but he said, honey, I know cooking's not your thing. Why don't you just seduce me? I wish he'd let me roast that chicken. It's summer. I don't miss the mean moms at school. I was kicked off the Friday pizza lunch committee because I was late 2 times. I said my alarm didn't go off. They said it's 2:30 in the afternoon and something about the children were hungry. Whatever. It's never too early to start intermittent fasting. My daughter, who was 10, asked me if stripping was a legitimate means of earning money for sex workers. I said, how about a lemonade stand? So I've been a little worried about my 8-year-old son. He's been spending a lot of time in his room. So I was relieved when he said to me, Mom, if you want to play 60-second apocalypse, I've got some tips for you. Don't pick Dolores to run for water. She always dies. I was relieved because I was wondering what's going on in his room. I always heard him yelling, no, Dolores, no means no. I heard him yelling, the purge is next. The purge is next. Get in that bunker. Get in that bunker. I said, honey, are you playing 60-second apocalypse again? He said, no, I'm watching the news. There's just so much bad news everywhere. I saw a picture of Gwyneth Paltrow without makeup on, and she looked exactly the same. After 50 years of marriage, my mother-in-law got remarried to a man who's 79. My mother said, these wasps are crazy for remarriage. If your father goes, you could not pay me $1 million to take care of a second old man. 2 million, maybe. Well, our last nanny wanted to go back to Russia rather than spend quarantine in New Jersey with us. So she got on a plane. She wanted to get on a plane. We took her to the airport and her plane was canceled. She called the Russian embassy, got on some list. They wouldn't put her on a plane. After spending 6 weeks of quarantine with us, she called again and said that she had a heart condition and needed to see her doctor in Russia. They got her on a plane. She came to Moscow, spent 14 days quarantining in a hotel where they locked her from the outside. Was it the laundry? I don't know. It's hard to get a good nanny these days. So when she left, I finally had to do the laundry and I Googled it, but it was a little confusing. So the last time I'd done my laundry was in college and all my whites had turned pink. That was how I met my first boyfriend, Larry. He said he'd do my laundry. Finally, I asked my mother, I said, Mom, do you wash the whites in warm water or hot? And she said, oh, look who needs me now. I also roast chickens. When my husband goes food shopping, I get text from him and I text him with things for the food list and he never comes home with it. I said, honey, don't you get my texts? Don't you read my texts? He said, read all your texts. I can't. My phone doesn't hold that much data. My mother loves Trump, and I'm like, Mom, you're so refugee. You're from Latvia, and he's so anti-immigrant. And she says, so what? I am here now. Close the gates. Thank you, guys. You're a great audience at home. Have a great weekend.
Domestic goddess, Ina Swinton. Let's hear it for her. Great job, Ina. Thank you all so much for watching. That was our show. Special thanks to our comics that made their stand-up debut tonight. You were all awesome. And if you have ever dreamed of trying stand-up, if you love making people laugh, with the power of Zoom, no matter where you are in the world, you can join our next workshop starting on August 11th. I'm going to link our website, our Instagram, Twitter, and everything down below. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, find us on Facebook, and give us a call if you'd like to join. We'd love to have you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and stay safe and have a great weekend. Thank you.